This is Germany in 1930. In just 9 years, the world will be engulfed in war, and Germany will go from democratic to dictatorship, from shops to shootings, and from ghettos to gas chambers. This is the story of Hanukah to Holocaust. Germany was an economically thriving country in the 1930s, successful under the democratic model imposed after the end of the First World War. But the Great Depression reared its ugly head in the United States, and in a desperate move, America called in their wartime debt against Germany. Germany could do nothing but print money. This caused hyperinflation and a large recession in the German economy, which created a perfect opportunity for Hitler and his party. The election before the Depression, Hitler and the Nazi Party had only 2% of the popular vote. After the Depression, they got 33%. Hitler was appointed Chancellor short after, and thus started the slippery slope that led to the Holocaust, and almost the destruction of the Jewish people.
We felt so, why can't we be part of it? Why can't we? Everybody said Heil Hitler like this. I did too. What did I know? I was 8 years old. So my mother said to me, you're not supposed to do that. I said, why not? She said, haven't you been told that you are Jewish? I said, oh, I forgot.
The election of Hitler marked not the beginning of anti-Semitism in Germany, but action on it. Hitler and his conspiracy of the stab in the back meshed perfectly with the German people's post-World War I outlook. He found them an easy culprit and scapegoat for their humiliating defeat. He also promised them a simple solution. If the Jews and the Communists were the problem in the last war, then surely, if they are not here for the next one, we will not lose.
And so, the first shots are fired just 3 months after Hitler is given the office of Chancellor. And on April the 1st, a nationwide boycott of Jewish goods and services begins, and the German people accept this. Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, is attributed as saying, "Make the lie big, keep it simple, and keep saying it, and eventually they will believe it." The next big step in the marginalization of the Jewish people towards the Holocaust was the passing of the Nuremberg Laws. This reclassified the Jewish religion into a Jewish race, and was the first step to dehumanizing the Jewish peoples. Reclassifying them as a race and taking away citizenship and marriage rights gave a physical reason for the German people to view them differently, as something to be feared, and maybe, eventually, something to be exterminated. The laws were announced at the Nuremberg Rally in 1930. Each rally had a theme, and at the time of the rally in 1935, it was liberation. This was to be taken in 2 ways: the reintroduction of conscription and the liberation from the Treaty of Versailles, but also a liberation from the Jewish people. And the presenting of these 2 ideas in the same rally creates an idea in the mind of the German peoples that the Treaty of Versailles was the fault of the Jewish people. Kristallnacht, or the Night of the Broken Glass, was the first time that systematic violence appeared in Germany. Before the night, the Nazi Party had announced that all foreign Jewish citizenship would be revoked, and that all foreign Jews would be deported back to their country of origin. This sparked a French Jew, angry at the Nazi policy, to walk into the German embassy in Paris and shoot diplomat Ernst von Rath. The German party took advantage of the anti-Jewish sentiment and initiated numerous laws which further compromised the human rights of the Jewish people. Jews were banned from sending their children to the same school as Aryans, suspending all their cultural activities, and banning Jewish-run newspapers and magazines. Immediately, a meeting was convened with the top Nazis, and the question was asked what to do in response to the Jewish attacks on their diplomat. Joseph Goebbels proposed a program, an organized massacre of an organized ethnic group. The SA and the Hitler Youth shattered and robbed 7,500 Jewish stores, and 30,000 Jewish people were arrested and sent to re-education camps. This was the first real violence against the Jewish people and provided a precedent for the crimes to come. But the Night of the Broken Glass was not the worst that the Jewish people would suffer under Hitler or the Nazi regime. The Nazis would come to employ the ghetto as their newest tool in the persecution and dehumanization of the Jewish people. As the world plunged into war, Nazi Germany was faced with a new problem. The Jews had been expelled during the 30s, was now being reabsorbed. The Germans' unexpected success established numerous new territories and new people. So, the Germans, following Hitler's doctrine of Lebensraum, needed more space for the true-blood Aryan Germans to live in, so they packed up all the Jews into as little space as possible and created the ghettos. The largest of these was the Warsaw Ghetto, in a space fit for 50,000, 400,000 were put inside.
On the street, we see partially destroyed buildings. We see children smuggling food from the Aryan side, as it was called, to the Jewish side. Desperate children who were starving, who were pushing food through a hole in the wall.
We can already see, less than 5 minutes ago, we were looking at a thriving Germany, and now we have taken a journey through history only lasting 9 years. The Jewish people went from unheard of freedom and prosperity to this, and the slow decline of public opinion against the Jewish people did not help. To many Germans, the idea of ghettoization seemed horrible and inhumane just a few years earlier. Nazi High Command even considered it in 1938 after Kristallnacht, but it was rejected. But just a year later, public opinion has shifted against the Jewish people again, to become so far than what it was in the 1930s, that the German people would sit by and let 56,065 people die inside the walls of Warsaw Ghetto. But where did the rest go? The last step for the Nazis in the destruction of the Jewish people was the concentration and death camps. With the ghettos overflowing and the killing squad suffering huge psychological tolls, the Nazis needed a more efficient way of killing Jews. Hitler needed his final solution, and the concept of this was brainstormed by the highest-ranking people throughout the entire Nazi government at the Wannsee Conference. This undertaking needed the cooperation of all branches of the government, and the willingness of the population to stand by and do nothing. This was achieved before the undertaking even began, as years and years of propaganda made the people at least apathetic to the struggles of the Jewish people, and at most actively relish in their destruction. Some high-ranked officers claimed that they just followed orders, and that they could have been killed if they didn't. However, incidents such as the Convo Garage massacre are not actions of a desperate citizenry, but one actively reveling in the suffering of their fellow human beings. Either way, 1.1 million people died at Auschwitz, 750,000 died at Treblinka, and 600,000 people died in Kielmo. A total of 16 million people died in the Holocaust, and 6 million of those people were Jewish. The people who committed these crimes were not pure evil, and the people who let them happen were not all too different from you or me. But the steady climb from Hanukah to Holocaust was such that people became sucked up in the movement, and if you or I were in that place and in that time, I could not say whether I or anyone else would have done any different to what the German citizenry did, and stood back.